Section 2.2, Lines. Any two distinct points in the Cartesian plane determine a line. All right, so this is something you kind of have to know as far as, you'll be graphing lines. And when you graph a line, you may ask, well, how many points do I need? Okay, well, you need 2 points to determine a line. Okay, so here I'll show you. You come out to the side, and I'm going to put a point. Okay, so suppose this point is somewhere out in the plane. You can draw any number of lines through this point. Okay, so maybe I'll have a point that goes, or I'll have a line that goes through the point this way, or maybe I have the line coming in this way that goes through the point. So one point is not enough to determine a specific line, because with this one point, as you can see, there's multiple ways to draw a line through that point. Okay, but instead, if you have two distinct points, so maybe here's a point and then here's another one, there's only one way to draw the line so that it goes through both of those points. Okay, so it'll look like this. Okay, that's the only way you can draw the line here, for it to go through both points. Okay, so you need 2 points. That's enough to determine a specific line. Okay. All right, so I'm sure you've worked in a math class with lines before. One of the big things associated with a line is its slope. The slope of a line is a measure of its steepness. A line either has positive slope, negative slope, zero slope, or no slope. So let's go over the differences. So I am going to read through each description, so positive, negative, zero, no slope, and then below these descriptions, if you scroll, you will see a place for illustrations. So as I read through each description, I will come down here and illustrate each type of line. Okay, all right, so here we go. All right, first of all, positive slope. A line has positive slope if it rises from left to right. Okay, so positive slope means it rises from left to right. Okay, so I'm going to come down here and illustrate that. Okay, and I'll draw several different ones. Okay, so here we go. This particular line right here, if you draw it, and remember, everything in this class is done from left to right. If we travel along this line, okay, let me get a bigger cursor here. If you travel along this line from left to right, the line is rising, so it has a positive slope. Okay, I'll draw another one. So here we go. This line also has a positive slope. Okay, it's not as steep. The blue line is not as steep as the red line, but still, if you're traveling along this blue line from left to right, you're rising. Okay, so both of these guys have a positive slope. Okay, all right, so now let's talk about negative slope. If the slope is negative, that means that the line falls from left to right. All right, so let's go down here and illustrate, draw some lines with negative slope. Okay, so here we go. Maybe we have a line that looks like this. Okay, again, the key is if you travel this line from left to right, the line is falling. Okay, and then here's another one. This line that I'm drawing in blue, it also has a negative slope. Okay, again, if you travel the line from left to right, the line is falling. Okay, so these guys have negative slope. All right, then some lines have zero slope and some lines have no slope. You need to realize zero slope is not the same thing as no slope. Okay, no slope is the same thing as undefined. Okay, so no and undefined, those terms are synonymous, but zero slope means something different. So please keep that in mind. Okay, so let's talk about zero slope. Zero slope lines, those are horizontal lines. Okay, so if I come down here and I draw a line with zero slope, basically all I can really draw here is just some kind of horizontal line. Okay, so remember, a horizontal line, that's the type that goes from left to right. Okay, so any type of horizontal line is going to have 0 slope. If you have trouble distinguishing between a horizontal line and a vertical line, here's a little trick that, or as to how you can remember horizontal. So remember, the sun rises over the horizon. Okay, so that's how you can distinguish or remember which type of line is a horizontal line and which one is a vertical line. Okay, all right, so again, any type of horizontal line will have 0 slope. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about the lines that have no slope, which is the same thing as undefined slope. Again, not the same thing as 0 slope. And those type of lines, those are vertical lines. Okay, so if you come down here and draw a line that has no slope or undefined slope, it will look something like this. Okay, vertical line, that means it goes up and down. Okay, so there you go. Here's a line that has no slope. You can also say that its slope is undefined. Okay, all right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is how to find the slope of a line. Okay, you can kind of see I'm peeking at the notes down here. So if you remember, like I said, you've probably taken some kind of algebra class before and you've worked with lines. So what you need to recall is that when we talk about slope, we use a specific letter, okay, and that is m. Okay, so usually the slope of a line is some number, and that number just designates the steepness of the line. Okay, the m value can be positive. That means that the line has a positive slope. The m value can be negative. That means the slope is negative. But again, the actual number part is just a measure of the steepness of the line. Okay, so if I go back to these two lines that I drew for positive slope, I'm going to make up some numbers. I'm going to kind of estimate the slopes of each of these lines. This is not going to be an exact number, but I just want you to get an idea. Okay, so like for this blue line, it's not very steep. The red line is definitely steeper. Think of these guys as sides of a hill. Which one would be more difficult to climb? Definitely the red line, the red mountain. So the red line is steeper. So that means that the blue line is going to have a smaller slope. Okay, both of these guys, since they're rising from left to right, they're going to have positive slopes. So the blue line, it might have a slope of 1/2. Okay, and again, I'm making up this number. It is not accurate. Okay, well, if the blue line has slope 1/2, then the m value has to be bigger for the red line because the red line is much steeper. Okay, so we need a positive number that's bigger than 1/2. So maybe the slope here is 3. Okay, if you take a look at the lines with negative slope, okay, again, think of both of these lines as sides of a mountain. The blue line is going to be easier to climb, okay, as opposed to the red line. Both of these lines are negatively sloped because they're falling from left to right. So their m values will be negative. Okay, so if I look at this particular blue line, its slope might be negative 1/2. Okay, whereas the red line here might have a slope of negative 3. Okay, all right, in part C, where I drew the red horizontal line, its slope is 0. Okay, so you can actually say the m value is 0. And then lastly, if you're looking at a vertical line, those types of lines have no slope or undefined slope. So when you're writing down the m value, okay, there's really no number to represent no slope or undefined slope. If you put m equals 0 here, that is incorrect because that would mean you're dealing with a horizontal line. Okay, so all you can do here, if you're working with a line that has no slope or undefined slope, all you can say is that m is undefined. There's no specific m value you can associate with that type of line. Okay,